Supporting marginalized youth with assistive technology. Marginalized youth often come with a host of issues that are resulting in their risk of not graduating. These issues span the spectrum of cultural, familial, economic, medical, physical, psychological, and cognitive, to name a few. Assistive technology is most commonly thought of as applications that support the blind, visually impaired, deaf, hard of hearing, physically, and more recently, the cognitively impaired. Eddieburn points out there are a number of challenges that have impeded the successful use of assistive technology in schools. Peterson-Carlin's research points to the lack of consideration about student usage preferences around assistive technology. The direct result of not consulting with students is a marginal adaptation of technology. Johnson and Evans have examined how to mitigate this abandonment of the affordances that AT can have for marginalized youth. Hall has made some recommendations in the use of technology to support at-risk youth. Successfully adopting technology when working with at-risk youth is a challenging task. However, there are recommendations, best practices, if you will, that should be considered at any program that makes use of technology. As mentioned above, there are a number of challenges that need to be considered when working with marginalized youth and technology. One of the most significant, as outlined by Eddieburn, is the lack of leaders that have a thorough understanding of AT and how it is best implemented on a school and classroom level. This lack of leadership around AT is just one of the issues. Most IEP, that is, Individual Education Plan teams, have little or no training in AT and hence lack the real-world knowledge to know when and how the technology should be used. Even when the teams do have knowledge of AT, they often lack the tools and training opportunities to help facilitate the successful implementation of that technology to support at-risk youth, as well as specific intervention strategies. I have found the above observations in my own practice. Fortunately, in our school, we are supported by an extensive team that have a thorough understanding of technology and special education support teacher that, although lacks the implementation strategies, understands the importance that technology can play. Another challenge as expressed by Peterson-Carlin's research is the oftentimes lack of consultation between teachers, students, and parents around the necessity and use of AT. Bates emphasizes that it's critical for the successful, widely adopted implementation of technology that all user groups are present and participate in the visioning of AT in the classroom and school, including students, parents, and the wider community. I must agree with Bates and Peterson-Carlin's findings when reflecting on my own practice and the implementation and use of AT at the Sunshine Coast Alternative School. Generally speaking, we work with a special education teacher in a triage capacity. We program teachers work intimately with students and request that a more formalized assessment of any potential learning, cognitive, or behavioral issues be carried out by the special education teacher. Once this assessment has been carried out, we sit down as a team to determine what, if any, technology should be used to assist the students. In some cases, we prefer to use varied assessment tools instead of AT. The use of rubrics and alternative forms of assessments is one of the recommendations by Eddieburn and Hall that we also make use of at SCAS. The student is then notified, usually with a meeting with the parent, of the recommendations of the team regarding AT. So, the student, although being a member of the team, is really not consulted on their preferences. Consultation with students regarding their AT preferences with a handout outlining the choices of applications to support their learning would be one aspect to our implementation process that could stand for improvement. Fortunately, there are a number of recommendations that schools can be conscious of and implement to better support the integration and use of technology to support marginalized youth. Hall points to the use of learning management systems such as Moodle, WebCT, and Desire to Learn as a key component in assisting teachers to formulate individualized instruction. Collaborative learning, peer mentoring, and teaching across the curriculum with real-world applications are key components in encouraging at-risk youth to successfully make use of technology and e-learning affordances. Eddieburn also recommends increased resources be provided to leadership in order to facilitate the personal preparation necessary to ensure successful technology-enhanced teaching, learning, and performance. A screening system of all students that is not referral-based, but more broadly applied, as well as promoting increased collaboration between AT and IT staff, are other recommendations that are very valid and should be part of a successful program. Johnson and Evans also recommend frequent, consistent, and continued support to the students in order to facilitate adoption. At SCAS, we make use of many of the recommendations by Hall and Eddyburn. Upon reflecting on my own practice, I would recommend that we could encourage more collaborative learning via Web 2.0 affordances, such as a social networking site that can be set up for the wider school community. This site could be used to not only provide a common area for information and its exchange, but a powerful pedagogical platform for learning. SCAS would also benefit from an expansion of their peer mentoring program to other sites specifically around technology and its usage. There are certain challenges that need to be considered when not only contemplating increased use of technology to support marginalized youth. At-risk youth have traditionally had very poor experiences around school and have often had unsuccessful experiences around technology and AT, with many of these students gaining the trust to encourage them to even attempt to use the technology takes considerable time and effort. If support systems and best practices are not in place, oftentimes the opportunity to ride the fleeting wave of student interest is easily missed. In conclusion, when contemplating using technology to support at-risk student achievement, care and attention must be used. The conscientious educational technologists must weigh and account for the negatives and the positives associated with the use of technology. As teachers, we are in a unique position to facilitate and encourage technological use. This role comes with responsibility to become informed about the potential risks associated with technology and plan how to mitigate those risks while encouraging adoption of technology to not only support but enhance marginalized youth's learning.